All right. Hey there, y'all. Welcome. Today is part 2 of a conversation with Katherine McCord. We're going to make this episode super short, but it's a follow on to my very dramatic encounter with a man on the sidewalk. Dun, dun, dun. It was a big deal at the
Theatrical.
time.
I believe it. It was very theatrical.
And it could have escalated to physical violence, but Darren doesn't drink anymore. So the guy got lucky. There was a time when he was much more fighty. It was before we met. All right. So, for those who didn't see part 1, there was a rude man who said that I was rude, and it hurt me.
For saying beep.
My soul. What's that?
For
saying beep beep. I was weird. Willfully acknowledge was weird. Might have startled him. Don't know that it was rude. And it's like, am I really going to take notes from you on how to not be rude? Man who's taking up the entire sidewalk and talking on speakerphone on your cell phone.
Yeah.
No situational awareness. So this is like a little bit more of the like what happened inside of me part, which may or may not be your wheelhouse, but you know a lot of things. So I'm going to throw it out there. So when he kind of like used an aggressive tone with me, like I said, I felt like this like physical like energy in my body. I don't know exactly what it was, probably like panic, fear. I was a little concerned because I asked Darren like twice later on. I was like, was I rude? I don't think I was rude. So there was a little bit of that, but more, it was like physical fear of like, I'm not safe. So, what's up with that? And, you know, the work that I do with clients, probably I can do some of that kind of work on myself of like, oh, when a dad type man yells at me, I feel unsafe and like seize up. That's probably something I can work on. But I just, you know, like EFT tapping would be really good for that. But I just wondered if you had any insight into like what's going on there, that kind of nervous system reaction. Anything else you could add there?
It's very simple. It's just the survival mode of the human being, the fight or flight. That's it's just that initial visceral response of I am unsafe. Your brain is just signaling you I am unsafe. Something about this triggered a synapse that says we are unsafe. We need to do something about this. And what's really interesting is you can actually change that response.
Ooh, tell us how to do that.
Like go in there and like cut and snip and paste and create a whole new response. So when you, and this is actually something I teach a lot when it comes to getting rid of stupid biases that we have. I mean, even like ridiculous biases. I once developed in the hiring process, and this will happen when you work in HR and recruiting. I once developed a bias against a particular name because I had several candidates in a row with that name that were just awful. But I was like, but that's not fair to everybody with that name, right? That's stupid. So this is actually the process that I used to change this pattern. So the first thing that I did was I sat down and I actually processed that this is what was happening. So I am sitting here, this thing happens and I see this name and I immediately feel irritated and upset and I don't want to feel that way anymore. So I move past them and I ignore them. And that is not fair because there are so many people out there. It was a very common name, by the way. Yeah. All these people out here with this name, what are like, so many of them are not. The next thing I did is I went back and I found information in my own past that countered that situation. So in my case, I went back and found other candidates with that same name and said, okay, look, they were fine. There was nothing defective about this person, you know, at least not that I ever had to deal with. And so I started to counterbalance it there. Then I did research about other people with that name. So like in your situation, like other people with that physique that are safe, that are happy, like maybe Fred Rogers would make you be like, oh. People like this are so lovely.
Great example. Like,
yeah. And so like, so you actually do research and start to give your brain new information, because what happens is your little synapses in your brain start to reconnect with new information and start to form new growth little spots and they're like, aha, we have more information now with which to make a decision. Then you have to give yourself an alternate way to solve the problem. So like, let's say this does happen and let's say the bad thing does happen again. Like, let's say I get another person with this name and they suck again.
Yeah.
Or in your case, let's say another male of this makeup yells at me and it's scary, you know, they yell at me and that's the bad thing that happens. Okay, what is a new reaction that I can have? And you plan your reaction and then you rehearse it 2 or 3 times in a row so that it becomes, you know, something natural in your brain. Then you talk about it to someone else. Like, this is the thing that did happen. I don't like that. I like this over here. And then you talk about that, get that positive feedback. And then it's in your brain. And then it's in your little subconscious. And your subconscious is like, oh, so even if this bad thing happens, we're safe. I don't need to have this very bad reaction anymore. I don't need to have this very scary thing, you know, happen inside of my body. I can still feel healthy about this because I know I'm okay. And you can also use some of the techniques that you and Brittany and I have discussed about grounding and things like that in the moment to say, I am safe. So one of the things I taught myself that I use to defeat ego mechanism, that I use to keep the temper in control and all that, is I spent literally 5 minutes teaching myself that if I touch the arms of my chair or tap my foot once firmly on the ground and take a deep breath in and out, that means that I am safe and I have food in the pantry. Nothing is going to physically hurt me, you know, these types of things. And so I do that and it takes literally like 5 seconds. And then my brain's chemicals shift and it's like, okay, we're safe. It's okay. It's okay that this very annoying thing is happening because we're actually safe.
Yeah.
And it changes that. And like for you, you can even think to yourself, and Darren was there and Darren wouldn't let anybody hurt me. Like,
and this
if that guy had actually like tried to hurt you, Darren would have killed him.
And it's not a large man. I could have taken him.
Well, also that. See, like, so just
now,
like,
you never know. We are in Florida. He might have been armed, right? But
but think yourself through these things, you know, and think to yourself, like, what are the things I could do to physically defend myself? I could poke his eyeball out. I could rip his ear off. I could, like, whatever it is that you need. That was super gory. Sorry.
Take his dog and punch him in the face.
Whatever it is that you want to do, these are things that you could do to defend yourself. So just kind of reprogram the brain, acknowledge what's happening, give the brain new information, and then set up the solution in your mind so that it's already there, so that the next time it happens, your brain is like, we're prepared.
Yeah.
We've got this.
And again, with the tools that I use, there's probably a younger self that had that reaction that I need to go find and rescue, because that will help. Again, separate, because I was not reacting as a almost 50-year-old lady safe in her hometown on a walk with her husband.
Yeah.
My body reacted
like
as
a kid.
If I were, 5 years old and thought I was going to die. My dad never actually tried to kill me. But like, if you think about, right, like how tall is a kid? And how many like kids, it's probably like 2 or 3 kids equals 1 adult. So that, right, if I'm 5 feet tall, that's like a 25. No, that's way more. 5 times 15. 3 is 15. That's like a 15-foot tall. That's taller than Shaq.
Yeah, that's very huge in your mind. So yeah, it's very, but there again, so your brain has this negative association. So you just have to take away and say, no, I'm okay. Like this thing isn't, look how big I am now.
Separate that out.
This thing can't do this to me anymore. It's okay.
Yeah.
And it is funny. We do have stuff like that. There have been so many times I've been like, why was that the response? Like, and I have to really stop and think about it, like, and figure it out, because it's like, wait, why did that happen? Why was that the thing? And it is really funny. It's like, when you were very first telling me the story, I was like, God, I wish I would have been there, because I'm like, it would have been almost funny to see like the 3 reactions, like side by side of you, me, and Darren. And I'm highly defensive of other people around me, like the people that I love. Like, I don't care if you're just some random person, really, but if it's somebody that I really care about, I get very protective, like very much so. So I think, but you have to just kind of process and think yourself through that. I think that's it. It's just a matter of kind of reconnecting and giving yourself tools so that by the next time it happens, you're more confident. You can calm your brain and say, no, thank you, brain, for that response. I'm okay. And then you can, go forward. Like I said in the last one, do something like just the nope,
And that would
that's
have
not
been
it.
sufficient because I did not, my body reacted as if I was in danger, but my mind assessed the situation and was like I said, I was like, you're
Yeah,
not a
I saw
big
that. You
man.
like you walked away from the guy. Like
Like
it
you
was
can,
fine.
yeah, like you can barely walk upright. Even all over the sidewalk. Like I was not in physical danger. Um,
No.
it's just like, right, there's a connection that we need to like disconnect so that then I can react to what's actually happening versus what happened, 40 years ago. So
100%. Yeah.
yes. All right. I know we are short on time. So, for folks that are meeting you for the first time and find you delightful, tell them where they can find more about you and your speaking page and
Sure.
all
Yeah.
of that.
So KateMcCordSpeaking.com. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Lisa's Facebook. Connect. I always love to chat with people about whatever is going on.
Yay. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We hope you found that helpful and see y'all later.